Welcome back, boys. Renewed podcast number 7. Today we got a 3-time Mr. Olympia competitor right here, Anthony.
What up?
Bro, thank you so much for being on again, man. We appreciate you. Guys, we're getting people on with experience, some influencers, some people who are in the game and have been in the game for years. I think you said you've been in for like, what, 20 plus years?
Been training since I was 14. I'll be 38 this year.
Wow, man. So, guys, I hope you guys are ready for this pod. I hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and check out the links in the description. Let's get right into the pod.
Let's get it.
All right, man. Well, this is it. We're back. Another episode, bro. Episode 7.
First of the new year, man.
Crazy, bro. We definitely went big as far as our guests. I don't even want to do any sort of taking away from the actual energy of everything. Y'all to me, Ethan, let us know who we got here, man.
Okay, guys, you guys saw it in the intro, but we got a 3-time Mr. Olympia competitor, man. Anthony to our left,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Anthony, thank you so much for
bro.
being on the cast, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Man, you got quite a journey, quite a story to talk about, man.
Well, I appreciate you making time for me to be here and sit down with all 4 of you. Got behind the camera as well. You're equally as valued. So
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir.
Couldn't do without
happy you
Don.
guys to make time, and happy to share whatever value I can. Truly honored, and take this in a humble manner. Yeah, it just means a lot.
Absolutely.
Man, that's one thing you kind of don't hear right now is people taking things in a humble manner.
Yeah.
They're just like, man, I'm ready to get this. I'm ready to attack this. And you got to have that perspective.
Absolutely.
But at the same time,
Got to stay cool, calm, collected,
Right?
humble.
Well, I mean, one thing we none of us will get back is time.
Yeah.
And each of us are nowhere else but right here, right now. So all of us are lending each other our time.
Exactly.
That's
So I
it.
appreciate your time. Absolutely.
Man,
Yeah.
and likewise, bro.
Likewise.
100%.
And man, I say we just start off with like the first, start from when you first started. You started when you were 14, correct?
Yeah, I started creeping the gym around I want to say 12, 11,
11?
around there. 14-ish is when I can remember asking for rides to go to the gym. But I remember
Okay.
creeping in the gym and sneaking into In Shape in Tracy, California.
There you go.
Kind of peeking around and seeing who was doing what and mimicking the biggest, strongest guy, the guy that seemed the most confident.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
kind of where it began.
Now, so what was it that inspired you? Because most 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds are either trying to get the first ollie or kickflip or just learning how to,
Playing
Fortnite,
video
video
games,
games, start writing their first rhymes, if they start, feeling more prone to being a musician or whatever. But so what was it the thing that inspired you at such a young age? It must have been impactful.
I was interested in kickflipping and ollie and that stuff as well, but I was
Okay.
deeply immersed in comic books.
Okay.
So
Same here.
DC or Marvel?
I was more of a Marvel guy.
Okay.
Okay.
I could appreciate DC as well.
All right,
Sure.
But just noticing the artwork, noticing the physiques on these characters, but the storylines more so. And every comic book character that I could think of came from something tragic. They all came from something tragically terrible.
Yes.
Superman,
Yes.
everything, everyone you can think of came from something really, really tragic, right?
Yeah.
And so I drew a lot of similarities from that. I found that I kind of related to the strength in those kinds of stories. And then once I realized that through exercise and through what I put in my face, I can almost create those kinds of energies or even that kind of physique.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. It was
Bro.
it just made sense.
Bro, that is intense, man. I remember hearing somebody say that in comic books, heroes and villains, they're almost born of tragic events.
Yeah.
Now, heroes will look at the world and they'll go, well, I should say villains will look at the world and they say, man, the world hurt me. I'm going to hurt the world. And the difference is where a hero will look at it and say, the world hurt me. I want to make sure that the world doesn't get hurt again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow.
And so you just saying that, it was almost like verbatim a little bit. I thought you were going to lead up to that. That's so crazy. But that is such a can almost be like a catalyst for some people, to do something either really good or really bad. In this situation, you looked at that inspiration and go, man, I could manifest something good from this.
I wish I was leading there. I wasn't leading the point. I was brilliant, but it just speaks to the power of perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, Superman could have been the worst villain we ever heard of.
For sure.
Yeah.
He just shifted his perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Just a simple shift of perspective, and we would have been annihilated.
Yeah.
Who could stop him?
Right?
We got Batman.
Or anyone. I mean, think of the Incredible Hulk. If he just shifted his perspective and just wanted to go ape on someone.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a simple shift of perspective. And so, at a young age, I kind of realized that how I see things is up to me. I can control that, and I just chose to try to control it.
That's crazy that you figured that out at such a young age, because I know grown adults that still can't come to that
Right.
realization.
Yeah.
You know, like,
for sure, 100%.
a lot of people trying to cope instead of, you know, realizing that you can only fix what's within yourself, and you realize that at 11, 12 years old. That's
I kind of caught the whiff of it, and it kind of led me into these different avenues of, you know, academia, or even how I interact socially with people. It kind of caught me. It led me to the understanding of, I'm in control of this. Life's kind of a one-player game in my perspective, and the way that I choose to treat myself ultimately is projected on how I treat everybody else. So if I just get this right, this vessel right, everything else was seemingly makes sense, or begin to make sense. That was my theory.
Okay.
So the more people I met kind of validated that theory.
Yeah.
And I kind of put it into practice.
Man.
So, you know, I was on Olympia stage, and
At what
those
age?
kinds of things. I'm sorry?
What age did you hop on the stage?
Gotta forgive me. It's not something I kind of think about as often as I should, but it was 2019 was my first. So I want to say maybe 20. I might have been like 33, 34.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay.
I mean, my math is terrible, but
No, you're good.
That's crazy though. But to be able to be at, again, such a young age, be inspired by, you know, the physique of comic book heroes, and, you know, and artwork, and then really it's sculpting your body.
100%.
It's artwork in itself, right?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately we all are, whether we know it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yo, whoa.
Most of us look like our habits.
Yeah,
Hey.
that's
Crazy.
true. That's true.
I've said that too. It's like when you see
I don't
someone
remember
that.
saying that.
No. It's in a past pod. Okay, you can pull it up. No, but you say like how we look kind of represents our habits. It's like when I kind of see someone who's, you know, physically overweight, right? I think that's I don't think anything like bad. I just think that there's a lack of discipline in what they are able to eat and what they are able to hold themselves off from. I think a lot of it is discipline, right? Like mental discipline, physical discipline,
100%. Even emotional discipline.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you have a lot of knowledge in the gym, right? Obviously, guys. If you don't know, all of his links are going to be in the description. Check it out.
Yeah.
But you are educated just as far as having a degree as well, right? Do you want to kind of talk about that? What you have a degree in?
So, truthfully, I had a crush on a high school teacher.
Miss Matthews?
Miss Matthews.
Shout out Miss Matthews.
She was something. And intellectually, she just drew me to her, and I ended up taking her class, and it ended up being psychology class.
Okay.
And if it was underwater basket weaving, I would have took the class. But
I've been there.
Yeah, it was one of those. And I took her class, and I ended up within minutes like self-diagnosing myself a ton of times. And then I realized that a lot of things I was learning, a lot of things that she was teaching, I could recognize those traits in people I knew.
Yeah.
And if I could relate to those people, then maybe I could relate to myself. And if I could relate to myself, then I could relate to other people. And it kind of became this ping pong of logic, and kind of led me into going into like psychology in college.
Yeah.
And it just kind of blossomed from there. I had no real intention of practicing psychology in any kind of career, but I just figured if I understand myself, I can understand anything.
Yeah.
At that point, I didn't really understand shit about myself.
Yeah.
Right. Had issues with controlling my temper. I had issues with controlling my urges. I liked to train. I enjoyed training, but I didn't really have much discipline anywhere else in my life.
Okay.
Right. So it just made sense. It just made sense. I got to understand this guy. If I ever want to understand you or him or these guys or my girlfriend or my kids, if I have them, or if I don't understand myself, I'm spinning my wheels. You know? So I just kind of invested in that kind of early. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And you kind of hinted towards that you kind of have a little bit of a tragic past. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I think I can relate to tragedy. I think most of us can.
Yeah.
But for me, I was usually pretty introverted, but I knew how to socialize when it was beneficial.
Yeah.
Right. My family, my dad, it's amazing, but his way of loving almost was kind of, I want to call it conditional, right? You ever heard of conditional love?
Yeah. Like kind of, if you're rich, that your lady only loves you because you got your money.
Kind of.
It's
Right?
more so unconditional.
Right. Like another form of conditional love is when your parents sometimes give you more attention or give you more love when they're pleased by something you've done.
More touchdowns, some scoring, pops.
Yeah.
And children only want attention. That's really all kids ever want.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Whether it's positive or negative, they're gonna try and
whatever
get
they're gonna do to get attention, that's usually what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Attention, right.
Right.
And so I noticed that if I scored 20 points, my dad hung out with me a little bit more. Or if I dunked on somebody, I got a little bit more like positive attention kind of things, right? These are things that children notice whether or not parents notice.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So, I just recognized tragedy. I recognized, some form of emotion in myself, and I just kind of knew if I didn't figure out how to cope or figure out how to understand, rather, I was probably going to feel that and project that to everyone I knew. It just seemed that way because the people I knew were doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The people in my life were doing that. The adults I knew that were angry, were upset, were in most cases angry and upset with themselves.
Yeah.
And the adults that I knew that were uncomfortable and projecting were in most cases uncomfortable with themselves. And it just made super sense. It just made sense. So I just kind of checked out from like, let me get this career and figure out how to make some money. I just figured out like, let me just invest in myself. And then once I figure out this dude, I can do anything I kind of want to do.
Yeah.
But I'll absolutely reach a roadblock if I don't figure myself out.
And that was in high school, or that was going into college?
This was the transition from like sophomore, junior year up until like sophomore year of college. I kind of was like, okay.
Things starting to kind of click.
Yeah, I kind of knew
and
why. I knew where I wanted to go.
Sure.
I like communicating with people. I'm super empathetic. I can understand emotion. I can communicate emotion rather well.
Yeah.
I don't want to like sit down and listen to someone's problems all day, so I don't want to be a therapist.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Because ultimately, I believe everyone's problems can be solved on their own. So
I
I'm
agree.
going to tell you that you're your own problem.
I agree.
Ultimately. So I just figured out like I got to figure out Anthony. I really got to figure this dude out.
Man.
'Cause I didn't know anybody who figured themselves out. And the men that I knew who did, the few men that I knew who did, I admired.
Yeah.
Right.
I admired, right? And if you really think about it, guys, like, how do you not admire discipline?
Sure.
Everyone you admire has discipline.
Well, then you look at the opposite spectrum of that, which is an uncontrolled man or an unhinged man. That is a very dangerous situation.
Yeah,
that you find
To
yourself.
everyone around him.
Yes.
Especially himself.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's crazy that you mentioned that. Well, one of the things I remember a pastor of mine saying was that men, got to check your emotions at the door when you get home. You don't want to be that person that unloads on your family, because the biggest threat to your family is you. Like, you're the biggest protector of the family. That's your job. But the biggest threat to your family is you. It all starts at the head of the household. And
I have to agree.
if you're lacking or slacking, and it's going to start to kind of show in the family. And then if you just come home and you're just irate, everyone's going to be like, oh man, don't make pops mad.
Especially if you intend to lead, and I think most of us do.
Oh,
absolutely.
Right. And so, to me, I guess the conversation really quickly becomes, and I'm a father of two. I love my sons. If you don't trust your own authority, if you don't listen to your own direction, if you don't take your words seriously, why would anyone else?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And kids are the best at picking that out. Like, oh,
Okay,
you didn't.
Dad.
You just said that.
Yeah.
I gotta be on time to school, but you're late to work all the time,
Or picking me up.
Yeah, I need to exercise, but I don't see you.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, very simple to recognize. Like, kids will point you out real quick.
Oh,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Having a strong father figure is super important. A lot of people, the people who lack it, you can kind of almost notice.
Isn't that crazy you said that?
Yeah.
It's wild, right?
Right.
Yeah.
How do you notice? How can you tell?
I mean, it's almost like an undisciplined person. Sometimes they pick up more feminine traits because they're around their mom a lot, or even it's just I don't know. Like, for me personally, my dad is a strong father figure, so I kind of wanted to shape myself after him growing up. That he's one of the reasons I work out, played sports. I wanted to improve myself because I see the way my father handles the household, takes care of everybody. He was the sole income earner for a long time, and he lived good, and I have my father to thank for that. So it's, that's how I want to be for my future family.
And you can notice the void in that when you meet other people, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I think that it's kind of almost sad to say, but in this day and age, you don't see too many good, like together like very cohesive families.
A lot
and
of divorce.
I think a lot of divorce. The divorce rate's very high nowadays, and coming from a home where my parents aren't divorced, they're high school sweethearts. They've been married for 30 plus years. My dad's been a cop for 31 years. My mom's a nurse practitioner. She runs several critical care units at a hospital. So looking at, and I like the psychology point of view, because I took psychology in high school, and I always think about social cognitive theory, if you know what that is.
Absolutely.
The attention, retention, reproduction, and reinforcement, right? So when you have a father figure or a motherly figure, you're able to kind of be guided in the direction where, hey, this isn't good, you know, or hey, this is good. You need to start, you know. And I do like how you said, if the father figure or the mother figure tells you to do something, but they end up not doing it, you know what I mean? It kind of makes you a little bit like, you know,
you respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things I kind of wanted to discuss with you and kind of unpack a little bit is when you're asking, like, what are some of the signs that you see? And I see, you know, men that are just crazy emotional and a lack of discipline.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one of the things when you look, it's like, how have you survived this long, sir? Like,
Yeah.
you know, when you start counting the gray hairs and you start to witness kind of like the foolishness. You know, I think Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest things he said was, you know, if you're looking at life at 50 the same way that you looked at life when you're 20, you wasted 30 years of your life.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so it makes you think, like, you know, one of the saddest things to me is seeing an old, foolish man.
Yeah.
It's one of the saddest things for me to see. I'm just like, oh, man, like, they still make you? Like, it's almost like, like VHS tapes or something like that. Like, whoa, this shouldn't 100%. Be. Like, how do we have enough history to know that this is the wrong path to go down and you're still this old, acting kind of crazy, man?
Yeah, and it's not to say that there's no place for emotion. Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Emotion's powerful.
But to be able to control your emotions, I think,
that's
to have
powerful.
It under control.
Absolutely.
Because there's a time and a season for everything.
Yeah.
Right? You know, not to say men can't cry or anything like that, but if you're at a funeral, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
There's appropriate places.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're throwing, like, you know, the sauce back at the lady at McDonald's because it's honey mustard instead of barbecue.
Yeah.
Right.
Which we see stuff like that.
Yeah, all the
like,
time.
We laugh, but
All
it's
the
like
time.
you could do a reaction channel off of crazy, like, fast food interactions.
Absolutely. And me and Xander, we always talk about stoicism.
Yeah.
We always talk
something
about
do.
the idea of stoicism, you know, and
We're still working on it.
we're still working on it.
Yeah, we have
Sometimes I am emotionally reactive, and
Me
it
too.
it takes me, you know, for me it's prayer, right, and just kind of just leveling myself and you know, praying, and eventually I get to that logical point where I'm supposed to be, and like you said, dude, an emotionally reactive man is a very, very dangerous man. You know, if he had a big red button and he was just like, oh well, they said something like this, whatever, I'm gonna, you know,
Crazy.
or
I think it's a skill to know, you know, where and when to place your emotion, how to use your emotion to your advantage. You know, where it has no place, no purpose. You know, some decisions. I forgot who told me, but it might have been my brother. But he said, you never want to make any decisions when you're feeling amazing or feeling terrible. When your emotions are crazy high or crazy low. Like, don't make any decisions at that point.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, there's always your emotions are going to skew. You know, that decision in some form or fashion.
Yeah, whenever I'm trying to make a big decision, I always like, you know, I always try to level myself, take like a couple days, maybe sleep on it, you know, because
absolutely, dude. It's like that thing where it's like, if you feel so strongly about a certain way, and then you sleep on it, and then you wake up and don't feel the same way, it's like, hey, good thing you didn't send that. Or if you feel the same way, it's like, okay, you given it time, that's your logical way of thinking, that's how you actually feel about the situation, then send it. Because I've seen people send texts just off of like that, you know, and instead of just sitting on it and then really avoid, like, oh gosh, like, I could have really ran into something, good thing I like avoided that.
That
you
can
know
ruin your future, bro. You ever seen 48 Hours? When they say, oh, I can't believe you did this to me, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
It's not just like, you know, ruining a relationship. Like, people are like, what are you insane? And off of pure passion and emotion, and then you're the first person the cops want to look at, and you may have not even done anything.
Absolutely.
And it comes down to, are you really saying what you mean?
Yeah.
Right.
What you're really intending to say.
Yeah.
You might have meant it in that moment, but emotions come and go.
Exactly.
Yes.
Is that really how you feel?
Yeah.
And I
words
feel
are powerful.
Words
I feel
are
like
very
we've all
powerful.
seen like those Twitter clips or whatever, like just screenshots of when a girl rejects a guy, and then he just goes absolutely crazy on her, like, yeah, ask her out to go on a date, and then he'll be like, oh, sorry, no, I'm just not interested. And then he'd be like, oh, this is why you're a fucking bitch, like, you're a whore, like, blah, 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 why'd you lead me on? And it's like, as a man, you gotta be able to take that on the chin. Not everybody's gonna like you, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Man,
there's a book that I read called The Courage to Be Disliked. Speaks about, I mean, a ton of different powerful things, but yeah, not everyone's for you.
Yeah.
And see, I'm kind of on the, well, I would say I was on the unhealthy side of that spectrum, where I would care too little. Where it was just like
You
an
lack.
acknowledge. I lacked the empathy.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, okay, that's fine. I know who I am. I don't mind that you don't like me, and our relationship isn't that deep where if you decided to sever ties right now, where my world would even change. That in and of itself, blurting that out, seeing people's reaction, like, it wasn't until, talking about relationships, I've been with my wife for 16, almost 17 years now.
Nice.
And so, thank you. And so one of the things that I remember her telling me was just, Phil, like, we got into an argument. She's like, Phil, you're mean. Like, you just say mean things. And it just, like, hit me, man. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I do. And in my thought process of being honest being the best policy, it's still the approach and the intensity of how I would release those words, which was like, oh my gosh, I am saying this in a mean way. It does have an effect. And so through learning and checking yourself, self-evaluation, you go, man, maybe my problem, it's not where there's, with my wife, it was the opposite end where she was a bit more passive and a bit more docile. And I'd be like, man, you need to tell that person, like, you need to stand up for yourself. And she's like, oh, yeah. And me, it was a little bit, hey, it's one thing to stand up for yourself, but now you're looking for opportunities of weakness and you're now being mean to exploit them. And that was my thing. I felt very stifled growing up. So now when I'm older, and I agree words are powerful, I would use them as weapons and be like, oh, how dare you challenge me?
I can relate.
My intellect lets me know that hearing you for 5 minutes, I know I'm smarter than you. Yeah. So now that you've opened up that door, let's go.
Yeah.
And that is another very dangerous man.
I know.
It's unbecoming on yourself now.
Yeah.
Where you may think, oh, I just, look at me. It's like, well, look at you. Do you even realize what you just did? You made yourself look foolish in front of everybody.
Yeah. The person feels this big.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
now
could completely relate to that.
You know what I'm saying? And now oh man, like, you should feel this big, but you feel like you just conquered something. And like, nah, man, you just made yourself look foolish.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's a very hard thing to acknowledge, but you can, I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum at times where I feel I should be more empathetic. And so that's kind of where I have to pull back a little bit.
I want to honor you for sharing that, and for having the awareness, within to make that call. And not only to make the call, because once you know better, you got to do better.
Right.
So I just want to openly honor you for that, for making the call, but then like shifting and running the play.
Man, thank
actually
you.
running the play, right? Because we could practice it, we could run it all day in practice until we're blue in the face. But 5 seconds left on the clock. I mean, we need to run this the right way. Bro, can you catch the ball?
Right.
And you caught the ball for yourself.
Yeah.
And man, shouts out to my wife too for being a good head coach in that moment. Be like, hey, we need to call a timeout because what you're doing right now is not how we're going to get to the end zone right now. You're running lateral moves right now, and we still got to go forward.
Isn't it powerful when you have someone in your life, male, female, whoever it is, that you can lean on?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like a cheat code to life.
Oh,
it is.
Sure. It's the best. And especially one that understands, hey, you know what? I'm trusted in this position to hear you out.
Yes.
But sometimes I don't even need to respond. Sometimes my wife is just like, telling me what's going on with her day. And I would get used to just being, well, what you should do. And I would just completely, like, just take the win out of her sails again. It was like a double whammy, right?
That was my problem for the longest time, too.
Yeah.
And she just needed to vent. You know what I'm saying? And just like, oh, do you need me to respond? Or she's like, no, not yet. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. We've had that conversation on the side, too.
100%.
Like, in the last year, I've messed up and done that, too. It's like I always have something to say about something.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I just need to keep my mouth shut and let someone vent to me, and then properly ask, okay, are you done, or do you want me to kind of like give you my thoughts about the situation? And honestly, you got to. I mean, we learn more than we learn more when we fail than we do when we win.
Exactly.
So I don't learn anything when I win. I did everything right, but when I mess up, it's like, okay, let me go back, analyze some things. Okay, this is how I should have handled it. You know what? I'm going forward. This is how I'm going to handle it.
Right.
You want to unpack a little bit of something there. While
I just completely agree with you. And even in the brief conversations that you and I have had, all three of us really, it's my first time meeting you, but I can tell we're going to connect big time. But you guys seem to have this urge to demonstrate and to illustrate, even to land your value.
Yes.
Right. And people you know and care about. And I don't assume that you guys associate with many that you don't care about.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you're communicating with people that you have some degree of care for,
Yes.
and they're demonstrating something that clearly could have used some assistance, and you could assist them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So it's super natural, in my personal opinion, to be like, man, like, I got you.
Yeah.
I know what you need.
Yeah, I can fix this if you just give me the
right.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yo, I mean, I don't even need to hear that from you, bro. I I just want to get it off my chest.
Exactly.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And then there's
my my past relationships too. I would do that all the time, and then looking back on it, like I didn't even realize, like, damn, like I really could have just listened, because, you know, like looking back, I didn't realize that at the time, but once I would tell her like, oh yeah, you could have done this, and that, she would kind of like, you know, oh, all right, cool, you know, like
Yeah, like
almost felt like you kind of
just like
shoot away what she said. And
didn't really pay attention.
I've learned this over years and mistakes. It's like, you know, I wanna give someone so much advice and so many tips, but like they have to want it just as much as I want it for them. You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, type of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's it, man. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, bro, but
so
so
I thought you were about to unpack something real heavy. They're like, yeah.
Sorry, cameraman distracted me for a quick second.
No, all good.
Yeah, but I will say, like, I see that you journal a lot, right?
All the time.
All the time. How would you?
Sorry to interrupt you. I got you guys journals. They're right over there.
Oh, for real?
100%.
Hey,
But I got you.
Okay, appreciate it. Yeah.
Got you.
Hey, during the break, we got to look at those.
No, you're good, because I was I've been trying to get into journaling recently, because I was doing it for a little while, and then I did notice my mind felt more clear, my thoughts were more clear, and then I just kind of stopped once I got a new job. I don't know, let it go. But how has journaling affected your mental? How would you say it has helped you?
How much time you guys got?
You know what?
All the time we need, bro.
Do you want to take like a small break before we unpack that?
You can.
Let's take a quick little break, and then that way we give you plenty of time to just like unpack the whole journaling thing. Because I have a lot of people in my life that journal too, and they swear by it. So we really got to unpack that.
I really journal all the time.
Man,
All right,
let's
guys.
get it. All right,
All right,
We'll
let's
be
do
right
it.
back.
Man, all right, we are back, and
Yes, sir.
while we took our little break, you know, we were talking about journaling, how important that is. But man, you just dropped like a surprise bomb on us.
Mhm.
Dude, look at this, man. He came through with some journals for us.
Yeah. High quality, man.
High
I don't know
quality.
if y'all can tell. This ain't just a regular paperback.
And I don't know if you can see through the reflection there, the hummingbird on it. And shouts to my wife, that's her favorite animal. And the first thing Aunt said was, "That's my favorite."
Too.
Mine too.
Mine too.
Man, break this down, dude. This is more than just blank pages in between, like a nice cover. What inspired this journey? And break it down for us. Unpack that, could you?
Sure. So, thank you for receiving them.
Yeah.
Means a lot.
Of course,
Absolutely.
man.
Thank you, man.
So I've been journaling for, I can't even remember when I started, but I've always enjoyed to write. I've always enjoyed to express myself writing. But beyond that, for me, trying to find the easiest way to describe it where it don't sound a little strange, but it's like trying to ask a fish what temperature the water is. It's hard for a fish to tell you that if they're in the water, because it's their existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me to write my feelings or write things I'm thinking about, or even important conversations or things I've experienced in life, for me to take them out, that's my way of getting out of the water and checking the temperature.
Ooh.
Wow, that's an ism.
That is, man. Our little words of wisdom, we just name them isms.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah. That's an ism.
Yeah.
So like what I started to do in the morning was I would wake up and just immediately, I started this when I was traveling. I was competing for one of these contests, and I was just always in different cities and stuff, and missing my sons, missing that relationship that we had, battling some guilt for not being around as much as I knew I should have been. And so I would wake up and just immediately have just overwhelming emotions of stress, anxiety, the works.
The guilt. Yeah.
So I would start writing immediately. I woke up in San Antonio, and I'm feeling, feelings of stress and anxiety. I think it's coming from this, and I would just begin to communicate with myself. Right. Initially, I had some blocks because I'd be afraid of, like, what if someone finds my journal? Most men feel that way. What if someone comes up and finds it?
No, for sure, I would hide my shit.
Right. And I'm like, well, what are they gonna read? That I'm a human being, and that I have feelings, and that I have fears, and I have guilt, and then I have stress. 'Cause everyone's got that.
Right.
They're not gonna read that I'm an alien, and then I got 300 keys of coke barely in the backyard, and there's a body in my trunk. Like, what if they did find it?
Yeah.
What if they're inspired if they found it?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Wow.
So I started writing to myself, and then so I'd write how I felt, what I thought was going on in the morning, and immediately after that, I would go into things that, if occurred in that day, would make my day amazing. But these things are only things that I have control over. So I can't say I'm going to call my buddy and have a dope conversation with him because he has a role in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
What if he's in a shit mood? I can't have that conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So everything is in my control. Call my buddy and tell him I love him.
There you
That's
go.
in my control. He could be like,
Yeah.
fuck off.
Yeah.
But I still did exactly what I wanted to do, which was
Exactly.
make my day good.
Yes.
Right? So I'll be going on a list of those things, which ultimately becomes, in a weird way, a checklist that you don't have to go back to.
Yeah.
Because if you write them and you know you want to do them and you know you want to do them because they'll make your day good, why would you forget to do them?
Yeah.
You want to.
wouldn't.
Yeah, you want to.
You would subconsciously just do them
Yeah.
Yeah.
almost immediately. Let me call my buddy real quick.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would you wait?
Mm-hmm.
It's in your power.
Yeah.
Exactly. You
As
want to make your day.
Nobody can ruin it but you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to make your day as great
So
as you
was
possibly
there
can, huh?
was there a point where it was hard, like at the very beginning, right? Like you obviously know what's in your control and what's out of your control. Was there a point ever in your life where you're like got the two mixed up a little bit? Maybe tried to force something to happen that wasn't in your control, and it took you some time to be like, hey, you know what? Let me, I can't worry about that. I can worry about me. I can't worry about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm human. I think a lot of times I put my intention before most things I want to do or want to achieve or want to have or want someone to feel. I want to help my buddy, so I'll do something in order to help him, which is out of my control.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He has to want to help.
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes.
So I just become super, super intimate with my intentions. Why do I want to help my friend?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it because I want to help my friend, or is it because I want my friend to receive my help?
Whoa.
Bro, the why
Okay.
is the biggest.
Yeah, what's my intention? Is it selfish of me to push my help on someone who doesn't want it?
Yeah.
They don't
Wow.
want it.
Yeah, what's the point of it then? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're not going to receive it, you're wasting your
Hey, man,
time, he's wasting
I
his
appreciate
time.
you making that meal, but I don't want your meal. No. I made it. It's good. I got all my degrees from this this college. It's everyone loves it.
Yeah.
You need to have it.
Yeah.
Trust me. I know you're gonna like it.
He's like, nah, bro, I don't want to eat that.
So I just become really, really, really intentional with who I am and exactly what I intend to do. Like I can feel just the same wanting to help someone and exactly helping them. I feel the same. I
Okay.
get the same amount of gratification. My intentions are the same. I want to help you and I can,
Yeah.
and that's in my heart. But once I offer that help, I wash my hands of the result
Wow.
because I offered it to you. That's in my heart. If you receive
Yeah.
it and you use it, great. If you don't, because you're not there yet in your life, great. That has nothing to do with me.
And that's part of the art of not caring a little bit, right?
I know what I'm in control over.
Exactly, and then not
learning,
being able to
right? We're
force
all
something.
learning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, how did you go from the journaling and having it just being something that is mentally healthy for you to going like, man, I need to make something? Was it for like your clients? Was it like, I need to make something like just because this is so important to me, and even if somebody doesn't buy a copy of it or doesn't want it, I don't care. I know I manifested something good, like you've been doing in the past. What was it that got you from journaling to making journals, and then your little, what you actually wrote in here, and what made you write all that stuff? That's kind of a loaded question. My bad.
Not at all. Not at all. It's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking. Simply put, something that is such a powerful tool in my personal life almost feels criminal not to share.
Wow.
It's that simple to me. Like I write all the time.
Okay.
I have 4 journals. One's in my car. One's lying around my house. I think I got one in my gym bag. Like I write all the time. All the time. It's like, and I reread journals, my journal entries, and like, I think it was like, what's today? Is today Sunday?
Yeah.
Thursday, I was writing in my journal, and in passing, you go through the previous pages,
Yeah.
and I happen to just stop and reread something, and you hear your voice. You hear yourself. Man, I'm waking up so stressed out. This is going on, and I can't understand why. I can't control this outcome, but you're discussing yourself to yourself, and you're reading your voice, no one else's voice. It's you. You remember writing that,
Yeah.
but you're not in that state of mind anymore.
Yeah.
You're in a much better state of mind in most cases.
Yeah.
So then that person looks and sounds familiar. You've met that person before,
Right.
and you will meet that person again.
Whoa.
And when you do, in that circumstance, in new gym, and your buddies, and something happens, and you feel that stress or that anxiety, you're gonna break that dude's jaw because you can.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or whatever it is, the overwhelming feeling of emotion. I'm gonna stress out. The bills are too high. I think I'm gonna get fired. Whatever it is, my team is losing. Whatever it is, that's of a high emotion, and that person seems familiar. You're like, oh, I know how to deal with that guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been there before.
I seen that guy before.
Yeah.
He's not gonna get the best of me.
Exactly.
He has before, but I know this dude. He's familiar.
Yeah.
Not this time.
And so the more that I'm able to like get out of the water and like check the temperature of my own psyche and be like, why do I want to help my friend so much that it's bothering me that he doesn't want my help?
Yeah.
He's not upset he doesn't want my help.
Yeah.
He's just fine.
Yeah.
All right. How come this isn't, how can I become better? How do I manifest? All these types of things. You just communicate with yourself. And once you can understand yourself, you can understand almost anything else. That's my philosophy.
No, for sure. And I, like, going back to what you were saying about, like, why do I want to help my friend so bad? Me and Ethan, one of our best buddies, there was a point in his life after high school where he, like, just really let himself go. And we started going to the gym. We're like, bro, come with us, trying to, like, you know, whatever we could. He's like, nah, bro, I'm good, I don't need to. And it would be, like, frustrating.
Just mixed up in bad habits.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just bad habits. And me and Xander we wrestled in high school. We've known each other for, you know, after high school for maybe 5 years or whatever. And that was just a bond as well, right? It's like we're going through grueling practices, basically beating the crap out of each other. I mean, it's basically it's a high school fighting sport without throwing lefts and rights. You know, you could pick someone up and just slam them. And I think that's where we got a lot of our mental discipline. So coming to the gym, we never really lost that, me and him. We're like, okay, we've been doing this. The gym is actually kind of easier for us because we're not going 120% fighting someone. You know, there's rest between sets. We can listen to music. You know what I mean? And
I mean, that's in there too.
That's a plus, I guess.
Not too many girls in wrestling.
But yeah, it would come to the point where we're like, dude, just come with us, bro. Like, get off your ass. Stop being a couch potato, man. Like, come on. And he ended up coming with us, but
it took a long time, and we weren't pushing him at that point. He asked to come with us.
He had to, because it comes back to the thing. We wanted it so bad for him. He needed to want to change. He let himself go. He gained over 100 pounds, you know, and now he's lost probably 80 pounds. He's in the gym 7 days a week, always doing cardio. I mean, he does not even look like the same person. It's so incredible, and we hadn't seen him for a while. We saw him recently, and we're just like, wow, dude, like bravo, man.
Exactly.
Good stuff. And I think, dude, you're placed into people's lives for a specific reason. And I'd like to say that me and Xander were kept in his life for that reason, because if we weren't, man, I think he just would have been lost completely.
Yeah, he told us that we inspired him, but at the end of the day, it's like we couldn't, like, when we were like on him about it, we couldn't do anything to help him. He had to come.
And it was frustrating to us.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, like you make the play and they don't want it, and you're like, why not? You know, like, so we were just like, all right, man, like, we really just have to just let him do him. And I was the first one to really realize that. Xander was kind of trying to say, no, dude, we got it. I'm like, dude, he's doing X, Y, and Z. We've already tried. You have to let him do him. You have to. And sooner rather than later, he kind of, you know, noticed that and just did the same thing. And then we knew, as soon as we knew it, he started doing it. And I'm like, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. So that was definitely a learning experience for sure.
Definitely, man.
It's beautiful how we influence each other.
Absolutely.
Gotta have a great, like, I'm so glad I surround myself with these people. Like, got amazing people around here.
That's right. You kind of have to.
Absolutely.
Well, if you want to progress, you know, like you said, no one wants to kind of hear complaints, you know, because everyone's got their own. But it's like, okay, tell me about your complaints, but then what are you doing about them?
Right.
Because now I can learn something from you.
That's exactly what writing was for me.
And that's kind of, you know, the segue I was about to hit. You know, you're kind of giving yourself the advice. You're saying that it's almost criminal to hold this, you know, perspective to yourself. And I guess, you know, my question is, you know, what was the next step for you then? What was like that like, do I call somebody? You know, do I just explain this idea to some friends and kind of, you know, do a little bit of brainstorming? Like, you already had a very busy schedule, I'm assuming, just with your workout routine. Sure. I'm not sure if you were training other people during that time or not, you know. So there's a lot of stuff that you're balancing, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. Like, I make music. I'm a musician at heart. And I play some things that I made for people, and they're like, yo, you should put it out. You should do this and you should do that. But that step to getting into that manifestation, what was the step here that manifested my own publishing? Because that's a major thing.
I didn't really realize that until you said those words. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, so the first step, I mean, I was constantly talking about it, asking my friends, hey man, do you journal? Do you write? And it was like in a diary?
Yeah.
Like a diary?
I'm not saying dear diary, don't
Right.
tell no one. Like,
exactly.
don't say anything.
Exactly.
I'm not talking like that.
So I mean, I started thinking. I have sons, and I understand what really influences people. And you can talk all you want, but people are led with what they see. They're
Yeah.
led with like what's consistently in front of them.
Right.
So I can ask you about journaling, and I can tell you how great it is, or I can put it in front of your face every day and show you myself doing it. And
Right.
sooner or later, you're gonna ask me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can come and tell you, hey man, check this out. And you'll probably be like, whatever, because no one likes to be sold.
Yeah,
Truthfully,
exactly.
No one likes, even if you really want something, if I try to sell it to you, you probably won't buy it from me.
Right.
Right. So I'm like, I want to share this, and I understand psychology. I know how people operate.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put it in front of their face enough for people who are naturally interested in what I'm doing are gonna ask me about it. And the moment they do, I got them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because once you write to yourself enough to get to know who you are, you're gonna want to write to yourself. Like honestly, I'm gonna get to how I began to manifest it, but I'll go through days, and I'm like, yo, I just feel off, almost like driving in your car and one of your tires is just a little flat. You can keep going, sure,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you know something,
Don't feel right.
something's off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something's off. And I go, shit, I didn't write this morning. And I'll just be like, yo, I had this podcast with these 3 guys and this dope camera guy, and we sat and we talked, started at 5, ended around 7. Man, we connected in this, and I just talk about it. And in that discussing, in order to put things on paper, you have to have words for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of us men, we don't even really get celebrated for having tertiary colors in our palette of words, right?
Yeah.
Usually we say primary things. Oh, you disrespected me, let's go fight.
Yeah.
But not, man, things that you said made me feel a little inadequate. It makes me feel a little strange. I think I want to talk to you about that so it doesn't happen again. Right?
Yeah.
We don't speak that way.
Yeah.
But if you want to understand that, you have to have words for that.
Yes.
And the only time you're forced to have words for that is when you slow down enough to write it. You can't even tell me the last text message you wrote because it's not important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You use your thumbs. But if you wrote it, I bet you could tell me the subject.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's psychology too.
Right.
I mean,
Right. So that's what I began to do. I'm like, all right, I write every day, all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put my phone up, I'm gonna time lapse it. I'm not gonna let anybody see what I'm writing.
Yeah,
That's super
yeah.
intimate
Exactly.
at the time. But I'm just gonna write every morning. That's what I started to do. I just put it on time lapse and wrote. And it happened for like months. And after a while, people started asking what I'm writing. And then I started sharing my process of like, first I do kind of like I just now.
Yeah.
First I did this, and then I do this.
yeah.
Give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then people were going and like getting journals and stuff. And I'm like, well, I think I want to help people. I
Yeah.
want to help people. And I love hummingbirds. Hummingbirds are like extremely beautiful to me. They
Yeah.
represent a ton of beautiful things in my life. And I just figured it was like, I want to help people get in touch with the reasons why journaling has changed my life tremendously.
Yeah.
And a hummingbird is, if you think about it, we know the hummingbird to land and to like drink nectar.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just drink nectar, it also pollinates a flower as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's an exchange.
It's yeah.
That flower benefits from that exchange and the bird benefits from that exchange as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's exactly what I hope to do in my personal life and in journals as well. Is if you're in contact with me, anybody who's watching this, my personal intention, and you should know it, you should feel it, unless I'm failing, like mercilessly I'm failing, there's an exchange of energy.
For sure.
It's
I feel it right
absolutely,
now.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not serendipity, it's not coincidental, it's absolutely 150 million% intentional.
Yes.
Because I wrote it this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote about this morning.
So you're like manifesting it.
I wrote we were gonna have a dope conversation.
Mhm.
I wrote we were gonna connect in a crazy way.
Yeah.
I wrote we were gonna like really, really do something crazy tonight. I wrote how I was gonna feel because it's all I can control.
Yeah. Exactly.
So this isn't serendipitous at all. This is absolutely what's supposed to happen
Yeah.
with the best of intention.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love the story behind
That's
that.
so profound, man.
I
Wow.
know.
And now, so you got into
So sorry.
Yeah.
So people began to ask, and then so I'm like, well, how do I get people to feel cool? Men to feel cool doing it, because men need to feel cool doing stuff. Let's
Yeah, for real. Like I need
writing
to feel
in a
dope.
journal,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So I started to kind of begin to think about how to market it. I'm known for fitness, so maybe I'll write with my shirt off, and that's not very attractive. So
Weird.
I
We'd
started,
watch it.
Oh yeah.
appreciate you, fellas. So I just started figuring out ways to like write on different places, and then somebody goes, "Hey man, if you had a journal, I'd get it from you." And I go, maybe I should begin to do that. And that's exactly how I came across a guy. Actually, I found a guy on the internet that could make that logo for me. But one of my best friends, his name is George. George, if you're watching this, I love you to death.
Shout out George. Shout out.
George is amazing. This is actually the second version. The first version I made was a guided journal.
Okay.
And it had prompts for AM and PM. Just like I spoke to you guys about.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they were in the journal.
Okay.
And so the first version, George put together for me. He's amazing. I love you. He put the first one together, and it went nuts. It went crazy. But it was super expensive because I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to make money. I was just trying to get them to people.
Yeah.
At the highest quality.
Yeah, I just wanted,
Right.
exactly. I just wanted you to have something that was like, once you're done writing it, I want you to sit it on your shelf because it's art.
Yes.
Right.
I want you to pull it off next month or next year. And remember the crazy motherfucker I was last year?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. To
Like
see the
that.
growth.
Yeah, yeah. Remember that experience we had last month? That. I don't want you to like fill it and toss it and forget you had it.
Right.
And then when you're moving next year, you find that in the box.
You're like, oh shit, I wrote a couple pages in here. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So that's where my energy went. And it was expensive as hell to do. Like,
Okay.
I didn't realize it until it was done. I was like, damn. So I figured I'm going to make another run. But until then, they need to have something in between.
Okay.
And so I created these. And yours are lined, but I also have some that have no lines at all.
Okay.
And that's because a lot of us, many of us, I'm going to speak for myself, I can express myself in different fashions when you're not confounded by lines.
Yes.
Like,
Absolutely.
if you don't have the words to say something, you can draw a picture and express that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Almost better.
Yeah.
You know?
For
Absolutely.
sure, yeah.
Language has confines.
Yes.
Art, you know.
Yeah, some people
It's
are
hard.
better at drawing what they're feeling instead of putting it in words.
Yeah, and ultimately, I'd say it's about communication. You know, with journaling, you're communicating to yourself.
Yeah. So there's
You
no
know,
wrong way to
and
do it.
with storytelling, in order to be a good storyteller, you have to be a good record keeper, right? Because you're ultimately, I'm exchanging this story and this energy that I felt, and I'm trying to captivate it for you so that now you're experiencing it, right? So how do I do that? I have to be a great record keeper, which is, I didn't even really know it, and what I like to do is if something kind of profound happens throughout the day, I'll just write that down. Like, oh man, this was really cool. And that kind of led to the topic of isms, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I got from this dude who's a rapper, Mozzie, who was just chilling and making beats with one of his producers, and they were just talking about their future plans. And one of the guys was like, yeah, man, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And he was like, man, that's a good ism. And I just thought, like, yeah, in order to have those moments where you are impactful with your words, which it sounds like you definitely, that's a core thing of yours that you're passionate about. You have to be able to articulate what it is that you're feeling and that emotion and that state of mind that you are in. And you have to be a good record keeper. And a good storyteller is often someone that's able to document things very, very well
Wow.
and just replicate that,
Yeah.
that time and that place.
If not for anyone but yourself.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't write for the purpose of handing it to anyone,
Yeah.
but I write for the purpose of rereading it.
Well, that's the
100%.
beautiful thing about a journal, right? You know, your own author, and you're gonna point of it, hopefully for the people out there, if you're looking, we'll put the links in the descriptions to pick some of these up too. But it's to be as real as possible with yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And that way
yeah.
you can analyze and go, man, maybe this is the unhealthy side. That lack of empathy, like, man, if I was to read this back, I'd be like, man, this dude's a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You feel me?
Self-reflection
Like,
as well.
Like I need to change a little bit, and that can only come with a great amount of self-awareness, which I really feel is lacking in today's society, man. Like,
Oh, yeah, a lot
when you
of
talk about gym
man.
etiquette or just like how people approach each other,
Validation, all those things. Even myself, like I ask myself, like, where am I drawing my validation from?
Yeah.
People ask me, "Are you going to compete again?" Sometimes people ask me that, and I'll have to ask myself, why don't I? Why do I? Where am I drawing the validation from? Where am I feeling validation? Is it from within? Is it external? Is it internal?
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now, sorry, go ahead. Were you gonna ask something?
I mean, I was just gonna bring it up, but I didn't want to cut you off
Not at all.
with the journal speak. So you're obviously very good in shape. You competed a lot, and you've been working out for a long time. And when people go to click your profile, they're gonna be wondering this, like, are you natural, man? You've been working for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
the people are probably gonna want to know. So
It's been a long time since somebody asked me that, but I'm not natural at this point.
okay.
I have TRT from a doctor that I get. 37 years old. I'll be 38 this year. I have tremendous respect for anyone who's able to be honest for whatever they put in their bodies.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But for me, my goals are about being healthy, being around, and being able to enjoy life at the highest level with my kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like begun to be my perspective. What's most valuable to me. So competing, those types of things, they just become less and less of an importance.
Yeah.
If it in any way deters my availability to be moving, jumping, running, playing, traveling, wrestling with my sons.
Exactly.
And that goes back to validation. Like, do I want my sons to be proud of me, or do I need an audience to be proud?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I need a judge to give me a thumbs up, or do I want the two boys I love the most to give me a thumbs up? Because they don't give a shit about my competition.
Yeah, for real. They just want you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, that's a trip. Now, how much of that knowledge that you kind of gain from self, do you find like you're more of like a critic on yourself, or do you find yourself in more of like a perspective of like, man, like I could really help out somebody in this situation? Like, I guess, when you are journaling so much and you're really finding out so much about yourself, and you take the time to invest in yourself with your psychology studies and all that stuff, it can kind of be one of the one side of the coin more so than the other. Do you find yourself, when you're journaling, as a sense of inspiration to kind of get you motivated to do the things like the gym and the competition, or are you like kind of a harsh critic on yourself, or do you find yourself more of that beneficial like coach to a lot of people that you're surrounded yourself with?
It's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking the question. Truthfully, I'm tremendously hard on myself, which is the journey of trying to learn compassion and grace for myself.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll go back to having kids. My first son was amazing. He is amazing, but having him as a baby, it was really, really clear that he deserves the most pure, most consistent, most supportive, empathetic form of love that I can give him. He deserves A1, the top tier form of love. But if I can define that and present that to him, why can't I present that to me? And if I can't present that to me, why would I be able to present that to him?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So how have you been able to define it for yourself?
So it's easy to love him that way. He's my son. It's like second nature.
Right.
Yeah.
So in any circumstance, for example, my son will have an issue, he'll call me and tell me, something's going kind of bad at school. I'm not going to tell him, don't be a bitch, man up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell him, don't cry, man, don't cry. What the fuck's wrong with you? I'm not going to. That's not the language that I speak to him, not because of his age, but because of the respect I have for him. He's my son.
Yeah.
Right. Why does that go out the window when I talk to me?
Yeah.
Furthermore, I'm not going to get the best result out of him if I speak to him in that fashion.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
I might get a result out of him. It may be somewhere close to the desirable result, but I'm almost positive I'm going to get the best result out of him. So why would I think I'm going to get the best result out of me that way?
So instead of saying to yourself, "Don't be a bitch, do this," like how would you say
it the way I talk to my son?
So how would you say it to yourself?
Depending on the circumstance, hey man, whatever's going on, this is hard, but you can get through this. You've gotten through plenty of things before this.
Yeah.
Failure is part of the process, but it's not going to stop you. You're smart, you're brave, you're beautiful, you're kind, you're cared for, you're capable.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to love you any less.
Yeah, no matter what happens.
Right?
It's like
I'm here for you no matter what.
Right.
I'll be with you. I will love you and support you.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So do your thing. It's all good.
So
Dude, that's
your body
incredible.
your body also listens to your words too.
Yeah,
you
dude,
know what I mean?
Dude, my son had a basketball game 2 days ago. He gets off the court, and he had a good game, but I can tell he was disappointed in himself. First thing I said, beautiful game, man, you killed it. Amazing. I'm happy to see you do your thing. And he goes, all right. And I go, do you want feedback? Not right now. Let's do it. Let's go have some pizza.
Yep.
Less.
Yeah.
He could have said, yeah, I would give him the feedback, but he didn't want to hear it. He didn't need to hear it.
Yeah.
Right? Why do we need to do that for ourselves?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
So ultimately, I just mirror the love I give my kids.
Yeah, and
So-
I love how you said about you've been through things, there's nothing stopping you from going through this. It's like we've all survived 100% of our bad days, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's 100% success rate.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of the bad days we've gone through, we're here.
Man, we're going to take
What?
100% of a break real quick. Just real quick while we take a break. we definitely got some more stuff coming up, though. Want to wrap up some of the gym talk and then the ism. But let's go ahead and take a break real quick. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, we are back, man. So after taking that break, we got a chance to just catch up just a little bit more on talking about the journaling, directions on how we can do that. And one of the things we're talking about, and I feel like I've just gotten like a mountain of knowledge already from you. I feel like this whole pod could be like just labeled the isms that you just need to get. And we kind of broke down a little bit what an ism is for us and what we call an ism. A little bit of words of wisdom or encouragement, something that sticks out with you throughout the day that you just have to document. You do a great job at documenting your words, man. So I'm very eager to hear, man. Is there something, an ism, a little saying that sticks out to you where it's just like, man, this is what I needed to hear. This is, Pops told me this, or, one of my gym friends told me this, or a psychology teacher broke this down for me, or even something that you heard in a comic book that was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I needed to hear to figure out this character, man. I know it's putting you on the spot. We like to try and just get like a raw, authentic kind of a, and I can already tell the wheels are spinning, man. So you want to make it a good one.
Yeah.
But
Oh man, there's so many popping into my head. I'm one of those people that I'm always like trying to give myself little bits of encouragement. I'm guilty of limiting myself and holding myself back. I'm not sure if you guys can relate to that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But even in this project, little things will hold me back. So I always had to be really quick and eloquent with like ways of getting myself to jump over the bridge, so to speak, right? So
Yeah.
I guess for me, recently, one I've been kind of replaying in my head, I got it from Russ. You guys listen to Russ? He's a hip hop artist. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's a book. I forgot the name of his book. It's all in your head.
Okay.
Book's dope. But it would be, what if it turns out better than you could have ever imagined?
I heard that quote
I've heard
before.
that one.
That's one that resonates deeply with me, because I'm always, even with my first contest, first one I ever did, I ended up winning that show. And I told myself, just don't get smoked. Just don't get embarrassed. Just don't,
right.
I didn't even think about winning. I was thinking about trying not to lose.
Okay.
And so if I would have approached it, what if it turned out better than you could have ever imagined, which it did. I try to take that with every endeavor, with every interaction, with every meeting, with every training session, with every morning, right? What if it turns out better than you could have ever imagined? We all have our expectation of what it might be. What if it turns out better than that?
Yeah. No, I can agree to that one, because when I first heard that quote, I think it was around the same time we started this pod, and I was like kind of nervous because I'm like, I don't consider myself the best speaker. I'm definitely improving my skills, but I was like pretty nervous, and I heard that quote, and I was like, you know what? That's true. Like, what if it could if it turns out better than I could possibly imagine?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think
It's almost similar to that. How high would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail?
There it
Yeah.
is, right there.
You
What
know,
would you do if you knew that losing was an impossibility?
what would you shoot for? Yeah, it's like people don't even take the first step into the venture because they just don't think it'll work out. When, but we had Bass on last week, and he said, his ism was, we can do all things through Christ. And he's a streamer, and he does some funky stuff or whatever, but he's like, no one thinks I can do this. He's like, I know I can do this. He's like, I take that very literally. We can do all things through Christ. I can do that. I can do this. My belief, is going to drive me to success. That's what I mean. People are just so scared to test the water.
Yeah.
Test the water.
See what you can do.
Yeah,
See what
test
you
that
can do.
temperature, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Now, one last thing, and I know we usually just kind of end it with an ism, but speaking of that, kind of going off of the, there's nothing you can't accomplish. What if things turn out better than you could have ever imagined? What's next on the horizon for you, man? Is there? I know you have your mind set on being the best dad that you can, being present for your children and for your family. You also seem like a man that is quite accomplished. What is it that, other than the best accomplishment, that is being a good, honest, sincere father? Other than that, what is that next venture for you?
Excuse me. Well, geez, guys.
Oh, good. You're good. Like, oh, no.
Edit that.
Get off the set.
Gee, excuse me. Well, thank you for asking. And I'm in this chapter in my life where I'm finding that I'm most fulfilled when I'm connecting with people in a really intentional kind of way.
Yeah.
And fitness has always been something I know. It's been the vessel that I use to connect with people on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Get them in the door because they want to look a certain way, and then you realize that it's not really about what you look like, it's about how you feel, and then we kind of grow.
Sure.
So at this point, being 100% honest with you, I'm trying to figure out the best way to connect and to learn and to grow and influence in both ways, right? That exchange we talked about, the hummingbird.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the most authentic and beautiful way to do that.
Gotcha.
I'm called in a really, really intense way to do that. I feel it every day. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to put the energy to use.
Okay.
Whether it be, I formed men's groups in the past. So whether it be, put together another weekly men's group, whether it be begin to mentor more men like I've done in the past, it's got to be something to where I'm putting some value in something and learning and exchanging in some way. But it's got to happen. It's got to happen for sure.
Absolutely. Well,
Beautiful.
it almost sounds like we need to have like a part 2 then, because
Yeah,
you need to
man.
come back.
Absolutely.
With all of this that you've already accomplished, man, it seems like it would take a person several lifetimes to achieve some of those things, at least to achieve the realization of self-awareness, which we're all learning. We're never done. If you respect yourself and your growth and your journey in life, you're never done developing as a human. But you got definitely a pretty good start, and we were definitely kind of basking in that. So I appreciate that. We definitely got to do another one to catch up to see where you're at, whether that's life coaching or something else. But we are just excited to have you here. You had an amazing story, man. Thank you so much for the gifts. This is the first time we got gifts.
I know.
Man.
Oh no, I'm sending invoices. I didn't. No, I'm just playing.
Donald behind the camera handles all of our invoices.
Yeah, those are yours. 100% joking.
But anyways, man, and thank you so much for being here. We definitely got to have you come back for another round of part 2. I think it would be fantastic. But with that being said, man, Ethan, you want to sign us off?
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching episode 7 with Anthony, 3-time Mr. Olympia competitor, man. I hope you guys stay blessed, stay fit, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
That's right.
Yeah.
See ya.